Now, whether you think drivers who push the speed limit are unnecessarily persecuted or nothing more than a bunch of overeager petrolheads, the government's made plain its desire to end what it calls the war on motorists. But it's councils that are calling a truce, not necessarily because they want to switch off their speed cameras, but because increasingly they haven't got the money to run them. At the beginning of the month, Oxfordshire became the first county to turn off its cameras. But research seen by Newsnight reveals just how many others are planning to follow suit. Here's Liz McKean.
One day into the job, wearing his ministerial L plate, the new Transport Secretary announced an end to the war on motorists. These are the faceless symbols of that war, now in danger of themselves becoming casualties in the wider battle to drive the country back into the black. To a lot of people, speed cameras are hostile foot soldiers fleecing motorists. But to those protesting here today, they are in fact lifesavers against the real enemy, dangerous drivers.
There are innocent people out there.
They were arguing about it outside County Hall in Trowbridge this afternoon, where campaigners are fighting against the closure of Wiltshire's Camera Safety Division. From October, cameras will no longer be snapping speeding cars.
My son had his life taken away from him tragically and very suddenly by an irresponsible driver. Speed is one of the main contributing factors in fatalities on our roads, and the only way we can reduce fatalities is to reduce speed, and cameras are there to reduce speed.
The council says the decision was reluctantly taken after a cut in the road safety budget of £1.3 million. They're having a rethink.
What the Camera Safety Partnership and Wiltshire Police are trying to do is to make sure that we have a plan that takes account of that and focuses on where the areas of greatest risk is. So that's where we can put our traffic resources. We can work with Community Speed Watch to try and keep people in Wiltshire safe. But I do think there will be a reduction in the level of safety in Wiltshire.
New research seen by Newsnight shows the extent to which the use of speed cameras is in doubt. Oxfordshire, Wiltshire and Liverpool have already announced they're sending them to the scrap heap. Of the 42 councils that responded to a survey by the road safety charity Break, their future was under consideration in Bracknell Forest, Cumbria, Devon, Gloucestershire, Herefordshire, Kent, Plymouth and Solihull. Bracknell Forest says the cuts will result in less speed enforcement and education available, but regretfully, the council's options are limited. Kent County Council says the £500,000 cut in its capital grant has unfortunately removed any scope for developing new 20-mile-an-hour zones. The changes only affect England, and the police are issuing a caution.
Whatever we do in the future, whether that be more education, whether that be increasing the use of average speed cameras, which are very effective, we need to have an administrative process behind that to support it, and that's what's at risk. So, I'm simply saying, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. We have delivered some very, very significant casualty reduction benefits as a result of cameras. We need to sustain that while we find a way of doing it more cost effectively.
The government has long tried to persuade drivers to slow down. Research shows fixed cameras have led to a 70% reduction in speeding, while another study finds they've cut accidents by 20%. Unlike those other combatants in our surveillance society, CCTV cameras, speed cameras might actually be facing defeat. Last year, Swindon became the first council in the country to decommission them. Not for budget reasons, but because council engineers decided their money could be spent more effectively.
So we're narrowing the road, we're putting in extra pedestrian crossings, there will be barriers installed as well, and flashing speed signs to warn drivers that they're going too quickly. And
are those things better than a camera would be?
Well, certainly this measure will prevent drivers from actually causing the accident that prompted this particular scheme.
That accident killed Caroline Hannah's 7-year-old son Tyrese.
14th of March 2008, I live that date every day.
Tyrese had been walking with his mother and their dog when a speeding car careered onto the pavement. You wanted to see a speed camera here. What difference do you think that would have made?
I think that would make a difference because I think people think twice when they see a speed camera. Most people do because they don't want to pay the fine and they don't want the points on their licence.
When it announced the disembowelment of the road safety budget, the government said councils had to decide where their priorities lay. Campaigners think ministers are being driven by cost, not a desire to protect poor old drivers.
This is a really nonsense statement. Firstly, the majority of drivers accept speed cameras. That's been shown in research by Braken and others such as the AA. But secondly, saying that speed cameras is a war on motorists is like saying that CCTV in shops designed to catch shoplifters is a war on shoppers. It doesn't make sense. Speed cameras are proven to be effective in enforcing speed limits and cutting casualties.
Councils are appealing to drivers' sense of responsibility, urging them to slow down for the common good. Now that will be a test of a big society.